welcome everyone to our September Coffee and EVs. Thanks for showing up. Apologies for sending out the reminder late, but just a note for everyone, these meetings always use the same link, and they're always the last Tuesday of the month. So if you want to put it on your calendar with the link, you can do that, and it won't change. Well, I mean, unless we end up having to change in the future, but it hasn't changed since we started doing it. All right, so we got a few folks with us. We probably got some other folks unavailable, but we are recording and we will share on the YouTube channel. So I have a few items that I wanted to put out there, but before I do, I just wanted to touch base about events that happened recently or are coming up. So I think the first event in September was the Nitro event. Larry, you want to tell us anything about that one, how it went?
Okay, Scott was there with us, and we had the Cybertruck and a purple Model Y, and my Model Y. I pulled that trailer along with my Evolution EV, and I had my electric bicycle there too. So,
A pretty good turnout. I mean, just
there was a lot of people there. There was entertainment across the road, and the park area, and so we didn't get all that much traffic anyway. I don't think of, but Scott got to show off cars quite. He did pretty good at that.
You had the bus there. I saw that in the pictures.
I was in the process, the rural imagining thing. I was just getting the Volkswagen ID4. So the person who returned it actually returned it to our event. So we had it there. It was a good event.
And Margie, I think, appreciated me shuttling you back to get it or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a good event. And the bus, I just saw it go by and I said, I want to go see that. And it parked down the block. And
cool. All right. And then I think the next one up was the Bridgeport event. Amanda, I know I was there, but I'll let you talk about it.
I was kind of disappointed as it was compared to the first one that they had of the season, the Cars and Coffee. They had one Saturday night, which was right during a WVU game, which was not a good idea. And then Sunday, I don't know what was happening Sunday, why a lot of people didn't come out. But we did have, 6 of us there, 6 EVs. And I got to meet.
Well, I guess 7, probably if you count the Model 3 that left before we got the picture.
Okay. Yeah, I think Adam's wife came with hers. And so I've met a couple new people and invited them to join us. And so it's okay.
Well, and that's a lot of times with these events, you just really don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes the weather cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's other events happening and you just don't know who's going to show up.
But it was good to get to meet together.
Mm-hmm. And then as far as upcoming events, there is the Drive Electric Week event coming up next Sunday over here in the Martinsburg area. And I think that's it. I don't think we have anything else coming up right now.
I had somebody from Mid-Ohio Valley Climate Action reach out to me about Volcano Day. So I'm trying to find out more details. If they're going to have room for how many EVs, if they're going to be able to.
Okay. I'm not familiar with Volcano Days.
Yeah, so Volcano, West Virginia, was basically Mount Wood State Park.
Okay.
Up here off of Route 50. And they have steam engines and things of that nature. There are a lot of steam engines there usually. So that'll be Saturday. They're only going to do one day, Saturday the 28th. Will be the 34th Volcano Days held at Mountwood Park. It's also listed as Walker, West Virginia. So
Okay.
I have
Well, yeah.
never
Let
been,
the,
so I'm
let the
considering.
group know if they
Yeah.
will let you. If they'll take a few EVs, and yeah, that sounds like it might be fun. All right. Well, I think that's it for events. As far as some news items, like usual, I pulled a few news items. I'll share those, and then if anyone else has anything, let me share the screen. Is that popping up?
Yes, that's up.
Okay. We were just talking about this right before the meeting started, so I'll start with this one. So yeah, the Tesla Model Y has a shot at becoming the best-selling car in the U.S. It's just
I thought
right.
they had been best-selling last year.
That was in the world,
but not in the U.S.
but not in the U.S.
But
Right.
they were
So
second, or maybe even
actually,
third.
I think it was fourth or fifth. It was below the trucks and maybe the RAV4.
Yeah.
So, but it was, I mean, for an all electric vehicle, very, very high up on the list.
Yeah.
So this year we'll have to see how the year ends, but so far it's running real close to the RAV4. But I mean, just having an electric vehicle that high up on the list is, always impressive. So that was one item.
The other thing I heard on Tesla Time News was that we're up to 9%, I believe, sales being
All electric.
all electric.
Yeah, I think I saw that same number. And for anyone who has a Kia has shared a timeline for rolling out their NACS adapters. So if anyone has a Kia or knows someone who has a Kia, they will hopefully be able to get a NACS adapter here pretty soon for their existing Kia models, so they can use superchargers. And then also, I saw this on Reddit related to that Kia has been spotted testing a native port on the Kia models. Instead of needing an adapter, the vehicle will come with a NACS port on the vehicle itself. So that might start shipping here soon, maybe for 2025 or something. So we're seeing more and more different vehicles at superchargers, more so than just the Teslas and Fords and Rivians so far. And GM just got the adapter. I think we saw that on the list. Some folks were talking about the GM vehicles having the adapter available now. And Adam shared with me that he tried it with a Honda Prologue, his Honda, which is based on the Chevy Blazer, and it also worked at a Tesla supercharger. He had a third-party adapter, so that was interesting.
Still waiting on mine.
And you're still waiting on yours. Have they sent you any updates on it?
Yeah, this is in the app. This is where you come back to check the process or the progress of where it's at, and it's still in production. We'll let you know.
Okay. And Steve, do you drive an F-150, Steve?
No, I drive a Model Y.
Model Y. Okay, I'm mixing you up with someone else. Sorry about that. I was thinking I was wondering if anyone else had gotten the adapter.
I saw Marty earlier this evening. He was meeting with someone who's driving an electric Ford F-50 for dinner, so he was going to miss out on the in-person meeting tonight.
Yeah, I figured there'd be some folks out. All right, so that's Kia. We just talked about GM also getting the adapter, so starting to see a little more traction on other brands getting access to superchargers and getting the adapters out there.
And Rivian's supposed to have the NACS adapter next year.
I mean, Rivian's already shipped them, or already has access and shipped them. The James up here, who has a Rivian, he just drove to Louisiana and was using it.
Oh, well,
So,
the adapters, yes, but I think native.
Oh, you mean native, right? Yeah. They're not native yet. and
Right.
that'll be and that won't happen until probably 2026 on the R2 model vehicle.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll get to that later. Yep.
Okay. Just another note talking about Chinese-made electric vehicles. I thought this was interesting. Europe got its first all-wheel drive electric pickup truck. It's a Chinese-made vehicle. 250 plus miles of range and going on sale in Europe. About the size of a Ford Ranger. I mean, I bet you if this was available in the U.S., they could probably sell a few of those.
Oh yeah. The Ranger is a real popular mid or small pickup. My son-in-law has been interested in the Ranger for a while.
Just interesting that they're going to Europe first.
You know, I wonder if that's a strategy for Chinese to get them established in Europe and get people here, their appetite whetted for them.
Well, I think the tariff regime and the regulatory environment in Europe is just more favorable to them than it is here. But yeah, I mean, it gets them, proof of concept, and you get some data under your belt, and if you can meet European safety standards, you can meet U.S. safety standards. So you can work out all the bugs and then release them in the U.S. And back to GM. I saw that GM sales were doing pretty well. They're, I guess, gaining on Ford with their electric vehicle sales. So that's, GM's finally, they kept promising all these different new electric vehicles, but they never seemed to ship any. But they're finally shipping some. So starting to see their sales creep up. And, that Chevrolet, the Silverado electric pickup is, got some impressive specifications, no doubt about it.
Yes, I know I believe it's McClinton's up here has the Chevy Blazer and has sold a few of them. They have not had a Silverado in yet.
Yeah, I think there's a long range variant of the Silverado with it was like 440 miles of range, I believe.
Yeah, yes, sounds about right.
Has anybody actually tested it and verify, that it's not short miles, so to speak?
I haven't seen that test yet, but I'm sure it'll be coming out.
Out of spec. They have a pickup truck hauling video across the Rockies. Everybody hauling the same trailer with a Model 3 on it. And the Silverado was in the group and did quite nicely. They did have some bad weather, so it kind of hindered the rest of the group that was trailing behind. But yeah, Kyle Connor was driving the Silverado and very impressive.
I'd like to see the range. I mean, just normal, non-towing, 70 mile an hour trip kind of range. What can they pull off? All right. Well, that was just some of the news items I had highlighted. Scott, I think you had a few things that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah. Susan and I went over to Richmond, Virginia on the 14th, and mainly to go see the R1S and test drive it. And we found it very impressive. It's got a little bit of a stiff ride, but that's to be expected for the rugged roads. It's a little bigger than our van. Our situation is we're going to have to replace our van probably in the next year or so, maybe sooner than later. And we also stopped after that at the Tesla dealer, and we wanted to try the stalkless controls on the Model, what would eventually be on the Model Y, but already are being shipped on the Model 3. And so we ended up with a full self-driving. And Larry, you've been telling me how impressive the full self-driving is. It sure was. The only problem it had was we needed to get over in the right lane to make a turn. And it was hesitating because people didn't seem to want to let it in, or it didn't seem to sense that it was going to be able to be let in. But so we took control and then was able to move it over. But it was really impressive, the display and what it can see. But the stalkless controls are something we'd have to get used to. And if we ended up having our old Model 3 with stalks and this without it, it's like trading back and forth. Might be a little confusing, but anyway. And then when we got back to Charleston, I did a little more searching, and the EV9 came up as far as range. And we're also looking at towing our small camper, which is about 2,800 pounds. So I was kind of narrowing it to those. And we went and drove an EV9 right here in South Charleston and was quite impressed. We took it up on roads where we drive all the time, including with our van. And it's like, boy, this is just like driving our van. And it's only got a 300-mile range. And of course, towing, it's going to go probably in about half. But it was, all three of them had their own facets of being quite impressive. And so that's what we're kind of up to. Well, it was even doing a better route planner, routes around West Virginia where we might want to go and see whether we could make the distances with what they estimated. And you can, with a better route planner, say you have a trailer and it'll adjust the range. But how realistic, don't know. But it was seemingly about half, which is what I'm hearing.
I wonder if a better route planner is going to take into effect, like you can say, I have a Tesla supercharger adapter or not, like for the Kias.
Don't know.
One thing,
It should.
Model Y towing, I was getting ready to tow my EV cart up to Greenbrier County. So I got in with my destination in there, and it said I would get there with 63%, and I hooked it to the trailer, and it changed it to 38%. No, I think it was 42. I actually got there with 38, I think.
Well,
But it does make some adjustment. Of course, it doesn't know the aerodynamics or the weight.
yep.
That's what I was going to say, that a better route planner and some of these other things are going to need to allow us to input some information about the trailer, whether it's a box trailer or open trailer or aluminum, whatnot.
Yeah. So, and if anyone has any places out on the web, I've been doing a little looking, but haven't had much time to, on real life examples with some of these, that'd be great to let me know. I ran across one where, and this is one thing we're thinking about, is the Model Y is rumored to come out with a redesign next spring with stalkless, but also somebody's rumoring, and supposedly is an employee, but then it's been kind of in the comments debunked a little bit, that it might have a range of 400 miles when it comes out. So
I saw that same range estimate that was leaked for the new Model Y, but keep in mind with the stockless, there's already retrofits for the current stockless. Now, not to say that they will do away with the cavities in Model Y to be able to accept those retrofits.
yeah, I think if we didn't have two vehicles, one of each kind, I was telling my wife, we'd probably get pretty used to it. But to switch back and forth when you need to quickly turn the windshield wipers on and so forth, that can get a little dicey if you're intuitively trying to act quickly with that. So, but I appreciate that there may be some kits to adapt it to have stalks on it and everything. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at over the next 6 months or so. Any comments or anything?
I mean, the stalkless is, one of my things too. I mean, I don't know how quickly. Some people say you get used to it pretty quick. Other people, of course, hate it. So, I mean, it's probably going to be one of those, love it or hate it kind of things.
Yeah, and some people will say, well, get rid of your Model 3 and have both of them the same. And it's like, I like my Model 3. One thing that I have for life of that vehicle, because it was bought so early, is the premium connectivity as long as I've got it, and may even go with the car if I ever would sell it. So Never have to pay for it. It's a minor thing, but I was going to bring up one other part of the trip. We stopped in Lexington, Virginia, and there's a new 250 kilowatt charger at a True by Hilton hotel that was only built about 2 months ago. So the supercharger's brand new and the hotel's brand new, and you're invited to come in. The receptionist was doing his homework. He's studying one of the local colleges, but he told us about it. He says, you can come in and play pool. They have a pool table. It's kind of a real, modern type of hotel, but you're able to use the lobby for that. And obviously, the restrooms. So very welcoming place, Lexington, Virginia.
Nice.
Yeah. That's pretty much my report. Yeah.
All right. Well, Amanda, what's been going on up in your neck of the woods?
Back to work, but did a lot of car shows, and I won too. Yeah, so I'm very proud. The second one was at Johnstown in Lost Creek, the Johnstown Fair, and just giving people a look at them, and something that's an option for them out there, and. I'm glad that you mentioned, Scott, about the hotels. Over the summer when I did trainings and stuff in Charleston and Morgantown and stuff, I always make sure that I ask if they have a complimentary charger. And they're like, no. And I'm like, then I always tell them, shame on you. Shame on you. And the guy in Charleston said, well, I can run an extension cord for you. And I said, no, thank you. But, so I take the opportunity to tell them they need to get on the ball and help us out.
Well, I guess in the not too distant future, hopefully you can use the supercharger there and on the boulevard in Charleston.
Yeah, I still let Joe Holland when I come through that way.
Joe Holland, yeah.
Yeah, but we're coming out, Brian and I guess Gabby's coming too, this weekend to your event in the Eastern Panhandle. So we're going to come out actually Saturday and drive out so we're not rushed in the morning. And we'll be there Sunday morning.
All right. Well, and I hope the weather cooperates. It's that hurricane coming in. It's not looking good. So we'll see.
We're currently Susan and I up in Wisconsin right now at her dad's house.
Well, and Steve, what's going on in your world? So I'm trying to remember where you're located. Are you over in Lewisburg area?
No, I'm in Charleston.
I am just totally messing that up.
I'm in the South Hills part of Charleston,
Okay.
not far from where Marty work is. He's like 2 or 3 miles from us. Scott is a few miles. When he's home, he's just a few miles from us also.
And I'm going to brag on Steve. He's a solar power pioneer. I forget how many years you've had him.
We got our solar panels in 2016.
All right, awesome. So you beat me by a year. Well, I just added power walls. So I think last meeting I said they were coming. So now they are installed and working. Let me share that.
That's a Powerwall 3 or 2?
I got 2 Powerwall 3s. I did a little write-up on LinkedIn about it. Actually, this article I wrote on LinkedIn is the most popular thing I have ever written on LinkedIn. Like almost 200,000 views and like 140,000 different users looked at it. It was crazy. So anyway, yeah, that's 2 Powerwall 3s and the gateway installed. And then, of course, you got the old Solar Edge inverter that's been there. But these are AC coupled, so they just hook right into the panel. They don't directly connect to the solar system at all. Because I told them I did not want to mess with the warranties or create any problems on the existing solar installation.
So how is that fully working then? for integration when those to kick in, since it's not integrated into your solar system?
The only thing it does is it does need to know what the solar is producing. So they have a current meter clamp on the breaker for the solar inverter. So it passively monitors how much current is coming into the box from the inverter. So that's the only input it gets from the solar system, but it's not communicating directly with it. It's just monitoring the output from the solar system.
And that white box up there is the what's that called?
The gateway.
Gateway, yeah.
Yeah.
So and you have your whole panel backed up, right?
Yeah, this is whole home. It covers
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I got just one power wall, and they had to put me in a separate panel that I back up.
Yet combined, these two power walls can produce 23 kilowatts of power. 11.5 kilowatts each.
Do you have a soft start on your system there also?
No. These things don't need it. Powerwall 3 can do like 185 starting amps for 1 second. So it's like it doesn't need like any modification to any existing equipment. These things are pretty crazy. Powerwall 3's, the specifications on the Powerwall 3 are pretty insane. And let me see, there was a couple other, let me get back to, in the thread, I shared a couple things. Here's a feature I'm using, and I thought this was pretty cool. It's called Charge on Solar. So of course, anytime you plug in your car and solar is producing, you're technically charging on solar. But this is actually an integration between the car and the Powerwall. And it doesn't depend on having a Tesla charger either, because I don't have a Tesla charger. The car and the Powerwall talk to each other. And the Powerwall monitors the solar output, and it says, let me meet all the demands of the house first. And then if there is excess solar, I'll start charging the car, but only if there's excess solar between these two marks here. So this bottom one says, charge up to this level, which I've got set at 40% with any power source. But beyond this level, from 40 to 60%, only use excess solar power. So the car will immediately charge to 40, and then it will wait until there's excess solar, and then it will charge to 60. The other thing it does, you notice in this case it says 11 charging amps out of 40. It varies the charging power on the car to make sure it stays under the solar charging curve. So the car is dynamically changing its charging rate to match solar. So I thought that was kind of cool. And again, this doesn't require a Tesla charger, just the Powerwall.
I have just a 1450 outlet, and I have the option. I've tried it to just charge on solar. It's just when there's excess solar, so anything above what the house is using, it'll direct it to my car.
Yep. And I didn't really have a need to use it, but I saw it in action. This storm watch function. We had a storm system come through, and it said, "Hey, there's severe weather forecast for your area." So it went ahead and started charging the power walls up in preparation for a possible outage. So it pulls from the grid to charge the power walls in advance, and that's all automated, so you don't have to do anything.
Are you cycling the system to have it go ahead and run off the Powerwall at night?
I set a pretty high reserve, like 50%. I don't let it go all the way down. So I say you can use down to 50%, but always keep at least 50% for outages. So yeah, it'll charge up to 100% and use down to 50, and then it'll switch back over to the grid. And it's been doing that pretty well. Some nights it'll go all the way through the night, and I still have more than 50. It won't completely get down to 50, but other nights it will, depending on how much the air conditioning's running. So anyway, that was just a quick update on Powerwalls for folks who have solar or are interested in Powerwall stuff.
I have a funny story. Yeah, share.
Go for it.
I stopped at Midstate Chevrolet on the way back from Charleston to charge, and while I was charging, which is Midstate is horrible, by the way. I don't know if you've ever used that one, but no offense to the Midstate Chevrolet people. Thank you for having one, by the way, because it's a really long trek from Charleston. But anyway, a kid came in on an electric bicycle, one of the EV bicycles, and all the dealers came out and they were ooh and ah, and they were getting on and driving it around. And this one kid jumped on, and the owner said, "Be careful, you'll be shocked." And the kid jumped off of that thing faster than he got on. He said, "What do you mean?" And he went, "By how fast it goes." I thought it was cute. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I get you. And they had fun with it, driving around in the parking lot.
So why was the bad experience? Did they not want you to charge? Were they not welcoming? What was the deal?
No, they're very, very welcoming. It's just that it to download the app and to get it to connect.
Yeah. Okay.
They want you to scan the code, which it was actually raining, so it was really hard to scan a code in the rain. And so I went in and asked, and they gave me a slip of paper. So apparently it happens all the time. This is what you do. And I tried to do that, and it still didn't work. So they actually had to bring a kid out to help me with it. But no, it's just a pain.
Just clunky setup, and yeah, gotcha.
So I have the Royal Reimage car, the Chevy Bolt EUV. So I happened to be out the other day when, after the announcement of Chevy being opened up to the superchargers, and the Bolt EV and EUV have to have a software update before they can be able to charge with the adapters.
And I guess that's not an over-the-air update.
No, you got to go to the dealership. So I stopped at, was going by Clinton, so I just pulled in there and asked. I said, "Do you guys have the ability to do this? And is it even available? Is there a cost for it?" They couldn't answer any of it other than it wasn't even out yet. So they don't even know if they're even able to do it, if they're certified enough to do it, to do the update. So, but that was the day of release.
And Amanda, I looked up that charger on PlugShare. I was noticing there's some notes in there about the QR code is impossible to read in direct sunlight. Call NLX for remote start if needed. The station ID, it gives the station ID. So people are trying to, I guess, make some notes about how to make it work.
In the rain, here I am standing trying to insert the code. Yeah. And I finally got tired of doing it, so I just went in and asked. But they were really nice. But yeah, I guess it happens all the time. And one of those comments is probably from me because I left it.
Oh, you left a comment. Okay.
It's for the good of mankind and helping everybody out. PlugShare.
I always try to leave comments on PlugShare. I mean, even superchargers that I use all the time, I'll leave a comment. Check in on and comment. But especially level 2s, if I'm using a level 2, I'll leave comments if it was a good experience, especially at hotels and places like that.
It makes the trip to Charleston easier, but yeah, it sure is hard to work.
I think somebody said that, was it Harry Green Chevrolet, maybe in Bridgeport, has one too?
They have a stage 2.
Oh, it's only level 2?
The last time I checked, it was only stage 2. Yeah, because they comment about how people coming through the state want to stop in, and they end up having to stay all night to charge them. If you get a supercharger.
Chenoweth Ford in Clarksburg. I guess they've got one too.
Yeah, that's a stage 2. Did you say the other Harry Green? I didn't know Harry Green had one.
Somebody said Harry Green had one. I'm pretty sure it was Harry Green. Well,
I know
Chenoweth says they've got DC fast charging.
well, they've upgraded then since I've been there.
I mean, it says 60 kilowatts per, 60 cents per kilowatt hour, but it says they've got it. I mean, maybe it doesn't work, but
Yeah, well, they might have updated. Like, it's been a while since I've been through there, but yeah, the last time I heard it was a stage 2.
I mean, here's a check-in on September 18th from a Kia EV6. It says these have steadily been reliable go-to station, 120 kilowatts. So yeah, it might be an option for you on your way down. Check it out.
It's an ABB station. They have a picture of it. Chatamo and CCS. That's new from since the last time I was up there.
Yeah, so it probably is recent. Okay, maybe that's what somebody was talking about instead of Harry Green. I thought somebody said Harry Green, but maybe not.
They're right beside each other, but
Okay.
Clarksburg's not too far from me. I only burn like maybe 10% to get to
Oh,
Charlotte.
yeah, I guess that'd be better if it was a little further south. Yeah, like Flatwoods area.
Yeah.
Well, once you get your adapter, there's the nice supercharger in Flatwoods.
Is that a version 3?
Yeah, the one in Flatwoods is the V3.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can learn it to work.
The one in Weston is not, but the one in Flatwoods is.
Do I understand? Somebody was telling me that if the car will have a true NACS in the car, it'll be able to use both the 150 kilowatt and 250, only the 250, even if it's got a plug in the car. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, being a Tesla owner, and I'm not trying to brag, but they'll leave some of the 150s even, but that they're slower.
I've thought that. I mean, like when I go to Morgantown, I mean, I'll check, but if the 250 one, it looks like it's crowded in any way at all, I'll just go to the 150 one, 3 miles down the road.
Same here, because usually we're like on this trip up here, each of the, Tesla was steering us to the 250s, and it was a push to get and do what we wanted to as far as restrooms and food before it was ready to go.
Well, plus sometimes I like the store better. Like in Morgantown, I like the sheets where the 150s is better than the one where the 250s are.
Yeah. And on our way up here, we, of course, charged in Chillicothe because we didn't have a full charge to get to Dayton. Stayed, add a little bit at my sister's in Dayton. And then it was like projecting Richmond, and then it said, no, we can go to Spiceland, and that's an interesting one. It's a truck stop with a really good Indian restaurant. And then it was like going to take us to all the way up to Chicago, but it was going to charge for a long time at both Spiceland and the other. And I said, no, here, we want to go to Fair Oaks and charge for a little bit less. It's nice, accommodate, restroom and everything. And then we have a special stop in Kenosha where there's a Woodman's grocery store that has a lot of good cheeses and Kringle and everything on our way up here. And so we just plugged it in and it all worked, and it was different than what Tesla had. But so when you get a journey that you make a lot, you get to know where
you
you're
get to know where you're, and you got your favorite places that you like for whatever different reasons.
Yeah.
And then we go over to the beach. Rehoboth Beach is really crowded, especially during the summer. And, there are now 3 superchargers in like a 4-mile stretch of Route 1 on the beach. You got 2 8-stall stations and a new 12-port station.
Yeah. So
there's 28 plugs, fast charging plugs in that short stretch. But it's busy. I mean, it is busy. But there's one of those is a 150. So I'm thinking at least the Tesla owners will have 150 to fall back on if the newer 250s are busy.
And I can imagine people will sometimes plug in a 150. Maybe they like the store better, but maybe they just want a little extra time to do whatever they're going to do. Then they don't have to run back and get the car disconnected before the idle fees kick in. And that place up in Kenosha, the store used to not have the chargers. It's been there for a couple of decades at least, the store. And 2 exits further south is where they had 150. So we would sometimes drop somebody at the store and go back and charge, and somebody'd sit with it. And then one Christmas we were pulling in, and you started to see the foundations and what was starting. I said, and the transformer fence and everything. I said, oh my goodness, they're building a supercharger here right next to the store. And the kids were with us, and we were all thrilled.
Speaking of superchargers, or go ahead, Amanda.
Have you heard anything about the continuation of the request for proposals for the NEVI project yet? Have there been any updates on that?
I have not since July. I have not heard anything about, they said hopefully by the end of the year, and I have not had an update since then. But I will try to get an update before our October members meeting and see if they can give us anything new.
You met Adam at our last.
Yes.
I liked his idea of possibly putting solar panels because, like he said, 90% of commercial gas stations have those hoods over them. That would be awesome if they could do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a request you see commonly for fast charging stations is to put weather canopies on them. And if you're going to go to the trouble of putting in a weather canopy, it might as well be solar. So, and I mean, honestly, though, solar doesn't provide a lot of power. That much solar wouldn't provide a lot of power, but anything's better than nothing. And also, it would be nice if they would put in battery storage, because then they could, their impact on the grid would be lessened if they had battery storage. And there are stations out there like that. I mean, one of the very first V3 superchargers is in Las Vegas, and it has all of it. It has the big solar canopies, it's got battery storage, it's got it all. So that's a nice location. And I think some of the other California locations, was it Kettleman or one of the really big ones out there has got like the batteries and the solar and all of it.
I'm thinking Kettleman's now the biggest out there.
I think it is, or for now anyway, but they're going to be building an even bigger one in Florida. Was it like
Texas was getting a big one too?
Maybe somewhere in Florida. It had a weird name. Something, I forget what it was, but it was like 200 stalls in Florida.
If Marty was on, he watches the building of them all on the monitoring site, and he'd have them.
Yeah, he'd probably know where they're all going in at.
Yeah.
But speaking of things under construction or not available, Huntington is a disappointment. Huntington, I noticed, is down. I mean, and it's going to be down because they tore out the sheets, and it's going to be down for a while. But that's a long stretch between Charleston and Lexington.
Yeah,
with nothing there. I'm surprised that they don't have something else, like maybe in Grayson, Kentucky, or somewhere nearby. Sort of like they've got Morgantown, where you've got an older V2 and then you put in a new V3 or V4 somewhere not too far away. Yeah, without Huntington, that's kind of a haul, especially in the winter when it's cold. That's going to be a stretch.
Glad you mentioned that, because we once in a while go that way.
Yeah, I think they said it'll be about 6 months. It'll be down, so it'll probably down through the winter. And they've been doing that all over the state. I mean, Weston, they tore out Weston for a while. There's several sheets that are just, every now and I'll go by and the sheets is gone.
Well, Kanawha City put sheets, I think it was, where there used to be a Hooters restaurant. And the community, I think, is happy with it. Quite happy.
They made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
They've redone a lot of sheets up here, but Weston is the only one that has a charger. Local ones, they didn't do it, and I was very disappointed, especially Buchanan too, because they redid the one in Buchanan not too long ago, less than a year ago.
So I've been watching the pilot stations. There's a gentleman on YouTube that's going through them and keeping a track of them. And it's a mix with those stations of how many they're putting canopies in and how many they're not. But they are putting canopies in, but there's no solar on them.
I asked somebody about, I know what it was. I was talking to, wasn't talking to a charge point operator. I was actually talking to a person at Royal Farms. I had an experience at Royal Farms, and I had a reason to be talking to somebody in management. But anyway, we were talking about charging, and I asked about canopies. And so he's giving me the perspective from the store owner, from like a Royal Farms or Sheets. And he was saying that a lot of their stores where they've got chargers, they don't have canopies. He said a lot of it's because the chargers are generally on the edge of their parking lot, which is generally also the edge of their property. And there's a lot of rules about, I guess, permitting and canopies and offsets and, that kind of stuff. So it's like they may want to put a canopy there, but local regulations won't allow them just because of how it's situated. If it were situated in the middle of the lot like the gas pumps are, then, they'd probably be fine. But when it's up against the property line and having a canopy there, apparently it creates issues. So it's not like they just don't want to do it. There are, I guess,
and
roadblocks.
They don't want to give up a gas pump.
Yeah, they don't want to take out gas pumps to put them in either.
That day will eventually come.
That day will eventually come. All right, I found the article. It's a place called Yeehaw Junction in Florida. Yeehaw Junction, Florida, and it is getting a 200 stall supercharger.
Wow.
And these will include, it says it'll have battery-backed supercharging. They're going to have several pull-through stalls for people towing. But just like 160 regular supercharger stalls, and then other stalls, a mix of different kinds of stalls. So be a pretty impressive location when they get that built.
We could use one of those like at the Beckley area.
They were supposed to be putting in DC fast charging at the Tamarack area there, where they're building that new travel plaza.
Speaking of special chargers and everything, I'm seeing more and more new ones. I think the Hilton the True by Hilton, they'll have handicapped ones where there's wider spacing and cross-hatched so people can get out and use wheelchairs and everything, which I think is great.
That is great.
All in favor of ADA.
We don't see a lot of those like at fast chargers nowadays, but yeah, I think we're going to be seeing more of that. All right, well, we're just a few minutes till 8. Any last minute comments, questions, issues, suggestions?
I might tell you about an electric vehicle accident close to me here. I live in Poca, and Bancroft is the next little town down, so this is within 5 miles of me. And apparently, I don't know the circumstances, but there were 2 electric bikes traveling together, and there were 2 motorcycles traveling together. And I'm going to read the report from Channel 13, because I don't know too much about it. It says 4 people were transported to the hospital after a crash between 2 motorcycles and 2 electric bikes in Bancroft on area Sunday. According to the Putnam County Sheriff Bobby Eagleton, the crash occurred on Route 62. Some of the people transported reportedly had serious injuries. That's about all they say about it. Can you imagine?
So electric bicycles and motorcycles involved with each other. Oh, okay. At least it wasn't a car.
Right.
I added a link to the Pilot/Flying J channel that I've been watching in chat.
Okay.
Anybody's interested in following that?
Have you seen anything about converting any of the stations in West Virginia?
Not yet. The closest one is up 77 from Parkersburg. I thought it was Salem, but it's further up at Caldwell.
Local.
Caldwell. I could see it from the interstate. I did not go by. And I did see one of the stations on 70 at Belmont exit at that Flying J. So, and it is showing up as active there. So,
Well, there's one in Flatwoods. Amanda would appreciate one in Flatwoods getting some chargers.
yeah, maybe we need to start a letter writing campaign to pilot. I would love to have something, and I know, Amanda, you could use it too, is to be able to have a flyer that you could give to the owners of these hotels to be able to educate them a little bit and give maybe push them in the right direction to be able to help get some charging.
Right. It does no good to talk to a kid behind the counter going like, yeah, whatever. Or a manager who's like, yeah, whatever. But, if they get enough of it,
Well, one thing I usually, all of the stays that I do anyway, because it's generally with the, your favorite hotel program that you're in. They always send me a survey afterwards. Like, how did you enjoy your stay? What was good? What was bad? And,
right.
I always mention the electric vehicles, either thank you for having it and I appreciate it and I used it, or you really need this.
I've never stayed at one in the state of West Virginia that has one.
In West Virginia, I can't think I've ever stayed at one in West Virginia that has one.
All the Hampton Inns between Taysville and Huntington they have 3 Tesla chargers and a J1774.
I don't know about anything in the Charleston area that has
the Fairfield in South Charleston has 4 chargers.
Oh, okay, because I stayed at the embassy, and the embassy didn't have any.
There's a hotel by the high school in Parkersburg that has a charger. And then the Mineral Wells Hotel that's been out there the longest, I'm trying to look it up here, has a charger. It's Hampton. I think maybe they're both Hampton Inns. Yeah.
Well, and Amanda, if you're in Charleston and you need to stay at a hotel, the one they mentioned in South Charleston wouldn't be very far. And if it's got overnight level 2, that might be a good fit.
There's also 2 chargers around the mound there in South Charleston,
as well as one at the library, but that one is a little less reliable than the mound ones.
Joe Holland.
That's your CCS charger.
It's costly, but
it is expensive. It was like 69 cents a kilowatt hour last time I looked at it.
Yeah, it's costly, but that's the only place I can go. And unfortunately, I couldn't make the reservation. It was under my, the department who makes those reservations. So, I'll consider it, definitely.
You might.
I know when I go to the beach.
Library.
Okay.
When I go to the beach, I just pick a hotel over there. There's many that have vehicle chargers, so I just select a hotel that has a vehicle charger. And I know which ones have them, and so I generally go back to those when we go over there.
Oh, I just thought of one other milestone on the way up here. I think it was in Indiana. My Tesla passed 120,000 miles, so it's now out of warranty. But I've told some people I'm not very worried about it.
Well, we've got some Teslas with some really high mileage out there. There was the one guy in Australia had like 600,000 miles on his Model S. Yeah, that's some crazy mileage.
Fleet vehicles in California that have 600,000 to 800,000 miles on them.
It's crazy mileage.
Yeah.
And speaking of milestones, let me share this real quick. I guess everyone's familiar with the new charging network that's being formed by multiple manufacturers that are partnering together called Iona.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't actually built anything. They announced it over a year ago and they haven't built anything. But their big claim to fame was they were going to have 30,000 charging plugs in North America by 2030. Of course, they haven't built anything yet.
They haven't even broken ground on anything, have they?
They haven't even broken ground. So this is supercharge.info, where all the supercharger stats are for those who are interested. But I was looking at this the other day. So in the U.S. alone, we're at almost 28,000 supercharger plugs. And in Canada, they've got 2,200. And that's not including Mexico. So just between those two, we've got over 30,000 supercharger plugs in North America already, which it just crossed over that not too long ago this year. So as of 2024, Tesla already has 30,000 supercharger plugs in North America. Mexico has, I ran it, it's not in this chart, but I actually added it up one day manually, and it was like, I don't know, they got 500 or 600 in Mexico. So the Iona folks have got a long ways to go to catch up. But the more the merrier. They can all, I wish everybody would build 30,000 fast charging plugs. But if you say you're going to do it, we'd like to see some progress.
Yeah. Between getting the chargers in place and the vehicles out, they're coming in close to what a regular gas car costs. That's what's really going to be the tipping point. I ran into, at that Spiceland place, a guy was kind of rubbing his eyes. He was an old delivery van, and he's filling up. And I said, tired? And he says, no, just at the end of the trip out, and he's going back. And then I think he'd already seen the Tesla. We got talking for about 5 minutes or so. I wanted to go ahead and get in the store and everything, but it didn't hurt anything to educate him. Actually ended up giving him a card. See, we got talking about vans and electric vans and all this, and he asked about the car and educated him on it. It's one person at a time telling people about it.
That's right. I mean, our events, you educate them as they come in and one-on-one, and that's all we can do. Spread the word.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is after 8. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I said we'll record it and we'll post it. Everybody else can catch up. And then Amanda, I'll see you next Sunday.
Yep. See ya. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.